everybody. My name is Matt Bean, and I'm the senior pastor at Redeemer Lutheran Church in Richmond, Virginia. Thank you for being a part of this 5-part video series entitled Effective Congregational Leadership. This video series is really designed to help every one of us to become better leaders in our congregations. Whether we are serving as a formal person, a pastor, or a formal church leader, or a professional church worker that's in our congregations, whether we are a lay leader who is in some leadership role within our congregations, or whether we're just somebody who wants to learn more about leadership, whether that's in our families or in our places of business or in our churches. We hope and pray that these 5 video sessions will be really helpful to you as you grow in this area of your own leadership and the application of your leadership. Each one of these videos is about 10 to 15 minutes long, and each one of them has a specific set of purposes. We hope and intend that this entire series will accomplish a couple of different objectives. First of all, that they will highlight effective leadership principles, attitudes, skills, and practices that each one of us can learn from and apply in our daily life. Second, that we will be able to discover a biblical model for what leadership is really all about. How does the Bible envision leadership and talk about leadership and apply leadership and help us to apply leadership in our own daily lives? Leadership is not something new. It's not something different. It's actually something that the Bible talks about. But how does it talk about it? Well, we'll figure that out. And then also, thirdly, to explore leadership within the local congregation. And again, regardless of what your role is, regardless of what your function in your local congregation is, whether you're, again, the pastor of that congregation, or whether you're just somebody sitting in the pew, we hope and pray that the lessons we're going to talk about here in this series of effective congregational leadership will help you to be a better leader regardless where you're at, okay? So those are really the 3 objectives for this entire video series. There's going to be 5 different sessions that we're looking at with this video series. Let me just briefly cover those with you. Session 1, which is today's session, is where we will define leadership. Session 2 will look at 7 leadership essentials. Third is biblical leadership, and take a look at a picture of what biblical leadership and the model of biblical leadership is all about. Fourth is organizational leadership, and then 5th is leadership and emotional systems. So those are the 5 sessions that we're going to be talking about, and today we're going to dive into this first session of defining leadership. What is leadership really all about? How does it function? How does it work? What is the picture of leadership? A lot of people talk about this issue of leadership in different kinds of ways, but what really is it? So let me just kind of go through this. We'll talk about what leadership is and what does it look like in our lives, okay? So let me just share some of these quotable quotes and some of these authors with you, okay? Some of you may know the name of John Maxwell, who's an author and a speaker, a retired pastor, who's spent the last 40 years dealing with this topic of leadership. And basically, John Maxwell says these words: leadership is influence. Simply put, leadership is influence. Warren Bennis, who's a business leader and author, writes these words: leadership is doing the right things. Leith Anderson, who's again a Christian author and pastor, says these words: leadership is figuring out what needs to be done and then doing it. Harry Truman says these words about leadership: a leader is a person who has the ability to get others to do what they don't want to do and to like it. A leader is a person who has the ability to get others to do what they don't want to do and to like it, right? It's talking about motivation. It's talking about what's deep down inside of us, right? Rosalind Carter, President Carter's wife, says these words: a leader takes people where they want to go. A great leader takes people where they don't necessarily want to go, but ought to be. Another quote by Warren Bennis says that leadership is the ability to translate vision into reality. And we're going to talk about the vision question in a little bit. Max Dupree, another Christian author and leader, writes these words: the first responsibility of a leader is to define reality. The last is to say thank you. And we'll talk more about that later. President Adams says these words: if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. That's really what leaders do. They help us to inspire. Leaders really inspire us to dream more, to learn more, to do more, and to become more. Napoleon Bonaparte says these words: "A leader is a dealer in hope." I like that definition. Simon Sinek, who is another author and speaker, says these words: "Leadership is about taking responsibility for lives, not numbers." Right? Really great thought. A thought leader that Simon Sinek is. If you haven't read some of his stuff, you need to read some of his stuff. So if you want to talk about leadership, what is leadership really? Well, let me share a couple of kind of concepts, a couple of constructs with you to really help you understand what leadership is all about, okay? So as I think about leadership is, first of all, it's directive, it's accountable, it's action-oriented. It's about going places and doing things, right? It's about not just talking a big game, it's actually about doing stuff. It's action-oriented. Lee Iacocca said these words: "Apply yourself. Get all the education you can, but then, by God, do something. Don't just stand there. Make it happen." Okay? Leadership is also visionary, optimistic, and future-oriented. It doesn't just act and kind of do a ready, shoot, aim kind of thing. No, it's actually vision-oriented. It's going someplace. It's focused on something and getting somewhere, right? It's futuristic-minded, okay? Jack Welch wrote these words: "Leaders create a vision, articulate the vision, passionately own the vision, and relentlessly drive it to completion." Leaders are focused on a vision of the future and making that vision come to life and to come to reality. Another thing about leadership, it's opportunistic, it's innovative, it's resourceful, it's change-oriented. Again, it's about how do we take the status quo, which is not fulfilling the mission and the vision that we're driving towards. How do we change the realities on the ground? How do we change the conditions on the ground so that we can accomplish the mission and the vision that is set out before us, right? Russ Johnson, who in the 1980s, Russ was the CEO of Nabisco, wrote these words: "Ultimate success comes from optimistic, bold moves, which by definition cannot be planned." Right? There's sometimes that all of a sudden something lands in your lap, and it's an opportunity that you simply must respond to. Maybe not in a knee-jerk reaction kind of way, but it's like, okay, here we are. Now, how do we craft a vision to leverage this opportunity that's right in front of us so that we can accomplish our mission and our vision because of these present-day conditions? Also, leadership is relational. It's sociological. It's team-oriented. John Wooden, a great basketball coach, says these words: "If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, you need a team." Leadership is just by definition, it is about putting people together around that vision and accomplishing that vision together as a team. You've heard it said maybe that, if you're just out walking around and you look behind you and nobody is behind you, well, guess what? You're just going for a walk. You're not a leader, okay? And so, again, John Wooden helps us to think through that. Leadership is also disciplined. It's focused. It's goal-oriented. Again, it's not something that is about, hey, we're going to do this today, and then tomorrow we're going to do something else, and tomorrow we're going to do something else. No, there's staying power with leadership. It is, we are going to do this and this and this. We're going to stay disciplined. We're going to stay focused until we actually achieve the thing that we are setting out for. We achieve that vision and mission that we're shooting for. Jim Rohn, who's a motivational speaker like Zig Ziglar. Some of us knows that name. But Jim is one of those kinds of guys. He says discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. So when it comes right down to it, this whole concept of leadership is really about doing this. This is a great little picture that I wanted to drop in here for you. Leadership is about changing trajectory. It is about stepping into an organization or a system or a family or whatever, a set of relationships. And it's about applying influence. It's about applying vision and mission and articulating what vision and mission are all about in order to create change for that organization or that system. Leadership really is the application of influence so that the organization, the system, the family, the neighborhood, the whatever changes direction, going from the trajectory that it used to be on to a new trajectory. That's really what leadership is. Leadership is not about keeping things the way that they are. Leadership is about applying influence so that the system, the organization, the neighborhood, the business, the church, whatever, changes course to fulfill its vision and mission. Okay? That's really what leadership is all about. And so to wrap up today, what I'd like to leave you with is a little bit of an application question, a thought question for you to consider and to maybe take some notes on and to jot down some thoughts about this question. Okay, so here's the question. I want you to think about your current ministry context. Again, maybe it's in a church, maybe it's in your family, maybe it's a neighborhood or a place of business. Think about that place that God has placed you, that ministry context that you're in. Here's the question. Where is the application of leadership needed? Where is something that is going on in your current setting where leadership is needed to be applied through influence so that that system changes trajectory to be a greater fulfillment of its mission and vision? So that's session 1 of this whole concept and this whole video series of effective congregational leadership. So I hope that this is a blessing to you. So session 2 of effective congregational leadership is going to be looking at 7 leadership essentials. So join us next time for session 2 of effective congregational leadership. Thanks very much. Looking forward to talking to you soon.